In the heart of Rimini, a once doubtful crowd watches in disbelief as a humble donkey kneels in reverence before the Eucharist, igniting a miraculous moment that challenges everything they believed. Amidst jeers and skepticism, a determined 15-year-old boy stands at the center, his heart racing with the weight of history and the power of faith fighting to break free. As he recounts the story of St. Francis and the miracle that shook this town centuries ago, will his passion be enough to awaken belief in a generation lost in disillusionment? But to understand how we got to this moment of transformation, we need to return to the beginning of Carlo's journey. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you're listening from. The sun cast a warm glow over the vibrant streets of Milan, Italy, where the air was filled with the whispers of history. Among the bustling crowds of devoted parishioners and curious onlookers, a determined 15-year-old boy named Carlo Acutis sat at his desk, completely immersed in his research on Eucharistic miracles. His fingers danced across the keyboard of his laptop as he meticulously catalogued each event, each testimony, and every detail that showcased the love of Christ present in the Eucharist. Carlo had a thirst for knowledge that surpassed the ordinary. With his strong Catholic upbringing, he understood the significance of the sacred host, the body of Christ made tangible. Each miracle he documented was another testament to faith, proof that God still worked in the world, despite the shadows of disbelief that seemed to grow daily. But as he delved into the stories, he stumbled upon a particularly compelling account that reached back to the year of our Lord 1227 in the city of Rimini. The tale of St. Francis, known for his deep connection to nature and unwavering faith, emerged from the pages of history with fervor. The narrative described how, even amidst adversity and ridicule, he embraced the mission given to him by the Lord, spreading the gospel of Christ wherever he set foot. Rimini was a city at a crossroads, a place where differing faiths collided and skepticism reigned. Francis had ventured into this environment, driven by the desire to spread the message of love and redemption. Yet what he faced was not open arms, but mocking laughter and disdain from the local populace, who clung tightly to their heretical beliefs. The words of the saint echoed in Carlo's mind, painting a picture of deep struggle and resolute faith. Days turned into weeks as Carlo sifted through accounts of that historic moment in Rimini. With every revelation, he felt an emotional tug at his heart. The strength of Francis's conviction in the face of such scorn ignited a fire within him. It was a testament to the power of faith, a beacon shining through darkness. In his bedroom, posters of saints adorned the walls, and a small statue of St. Francis, holding a bird in his hand, sat beside his bed. Carlo felt an undeniable connection to this saint who had walked the earth so many centuries ago. The stories of adversity resonated with him. He, too, faced his own challenges in a world that often ridiculed those who held firmly to the teachings of the Church. But through the empathy he felt for St. Francis's mission came an exhilarating realization. This was not merely a stagnant account of the past. It was a call to action that permeated through time, compelling him to share the profound truth with others. Encouraged by the emotions that overwhelmed him, Carlo decided to explore this aspect of the saint's legacy further, how the power of faith could transcend time, inciting change in the hearts of all who encountered it. As days passed, the draw of Rimini called to Carlo. He dreamt of the central square where St. Francis had stood, a beacon of hope against a backdrop of doubt. His heart raced at the thought of the miraculous event that unfolded there, the moment when even a humble donkey recognized the sacredness of the consecrated host. It was a moment that would change not only the lives of those present, but reverberate through generations. Eager to document this story for his digital archive, Carlo gathered his notes, pictures, and any fragments of information about St. Francis and the event in Rimini. His mission became clear: to encapsulate not just the details of this miracle, but the spirit behind it. He envisioned an exhibit that would bring together the past and the present, interweaving stories of faith that resonate with the world today. As he meticulously organized his research, Carlo's excitement grew. His parents, having encouraged his faith-based pursuits, had always been supportive of his explorations. With their help, he planned a visit to Rimini to walk the same streets that St. Francis once traversed, the streets where the miracle unfolded. What if, he pondered, he could inspire others just as the saints before him had? The thoughts raced through his mind, igniting a sense of purpose, to reignite faith in the hearts of a generation often drowned in the chaos of modernity. The echoes of history whispered around him, each voice urging him forward as he reached for his liturgical texts, bookmarks fluttering like wings, reminding him of the encounters of the past. Carlo Acutis was ready not just to learn, but to become a bridge, one that connected the teachings of saints to a world desperately in need of belief. Little did he know, his pilgrimage to Rimini would not only fulfill a dream of understanding and documenting a miracle, but would intertwine his life with the magnificent tapestry of faith and serve as a powerful testament in the journey of belief. Would Carlo's efforts guide others to witness the transformative power of the Eucharist, just as it had transformed the lives of those who had witnessed the miracle in Rimini so long ago? The adventure was just beginning. The sun set over Milan, casting long shadows in Carlo Acutis's room as he continued to prepare for his upcoming journey to Rimini. His laptop displayed a flurry of tabs and documents, each filled with accounts from history, testimony, and the fervent prayers of the saints. Yet as eager as he was, a flicker of concern swept through him, a thought that caused a tightness in his chest. What if he wasn't able to inspire others the way St. Francis did? What if the doubt that plagued the hearts of many would overshadow the truth he sought to convey? A gentle knock at his door pulled him from his reverie. "Carlo, dinner's ready," his mother called. He sighed, closing the laptop reluctantly. The prospect of a warm meal drew him downstairs, but the doubt lingered like a shadow. During dinner, the conversation flowed easily, filled with laughter and brief tales of their day. Yet as the clinking of cutlery filled the air, Carlo's mind wandered back to St. Francis. He remembered the struggles the saint faced in Rimini. It wasn't just mockery that confronted him. It was deep-seated skepticism that wrapped its fingers around the hearts of the people, keeping them locked into a state of disbelief. Carlo pictured Francis, standing firm amid a sea of doubters, navigating hostile crowds who questioned the sincerity of his faith. Imagining the emotional toll it must have exacted, Carlo felt a surge of empathy. Despite the pain, Francis's resolve never wavered. That night, Carlo lay in bed, his thoughts consumed by the stories of ridicule and scorn. They haunted him, weaving into his dreams of Francis preaching in the town square. In each dream, he could feel the tension like storm clouds gathering over Rimini. He could almost hear the jeers, the laughter, and the disdainful murmurings of the crowd. But amidst the darkness loomed a powerful light, the unwavering faith that radiated from St. Francis as he stood his ground. Would Carlo have the same strength? He hadn't faced the same challenges as the holy man, but in his heart he felt an urgent call, one that pushed him not just to witness history, but to make it relevant in a world that often ignored it. He pondered the task ahead, inspiring the modern youth who encountered doubt and skepticism at every turn. The next day dawned bright and clear. Carlo sprang from his bed, resolution coursing through his veins. He buried himself in research, combing through every source he could find that told St. Francis's story. As he pieced together the narrative, he became acutely aware of the power of perseverance. In the face of overwhelming odds, Francis had refused to be dissuaded. The thought filled Carlo with renewed vigor. As Carlo continued his work, he turned his focus to the heart of the matter, How could he convey the rock-solid faith of Francis amidst a turbulent sea of doubt? He envisioned creating not just an exhibit of facts, but an experience, a journey that would draw visitors in, allowing them to feel the spirit of faith that once lit the streets of Rimini. He envisioned immersive displays with images, art, and multimedia that told the story of the saint and his unyielding belief. As he worked, he delved deeper into the context of the time. Rimini wasn't a city that welcomed the soul of evangelization. There were factions at odds, and the relentless tide of heresy often drowned out the voices of truth. He could see Francis standing in the central square, gazing at the faces that looked back at him with skepticism, even hostility. Each individual was a fortress of doubt that he had to penetrate with love, patience, and unwavering conviction. Carlo spent the following days poring over accounts that detailed the mockery Francis endured. One particularly poignant story described how children called him names and adults dismissed him as mad. Yet he pressed on, his heart anchored in faith, believing that love could soften even the hardest of hearts. The way he stood firm, similar to a lighthouse guiding ships through treacherous waters, inspired Carlo. He began drafting the narrative he would share at the exhibit, detailing the transformative moment when St. Francis called upon God's creatures to witness the profound truth of the Eucharist. The image of the donkey kneeling before the consecrated host glowed vividly in Carlo's mind, a divine spectacle that transcended the noise of doubt surrounding it. Would he find a way to capture that moment, to translate the stirring of souls into a digital canvas? Meanwhile, he confided in his parents about his fears and aspirations. "What if my exhibit doesn't inspire people, Mom?" he asked one evening. His mother looked at him, her eyes full of warmth and wisdom. "Carlo, remember that each journey begins with a single step. You are called to share the truth as you understand it. That is enough." Her words resonated deeply within him and provided him with a sense of clarity. With parents who believed in him, Carlo felt the weight of his mission transform into wings of encouragement. Every moment spent exploring the depths of Francis's trials only fortified his resolve. He found comfort within the stories of perseverance that spiraled out from every encounter with doubt. If St. Francis could endure such scorn, then surely Carlo could share the message of faith in his own world, one story at a time. Finally, as the day approached for his journey to Rimini, a sense of anticipation bubbled within him. He could feel the spirit of St. Francis guiding him, whispering words of encouragement. Would he be ready to face the doubts and skepticism that lingered in the hearts of the modern world? Would he be able to share the miraculous moment of the donkey kneeling, a symbol of reverence and awe, with a new generation? Carlo Acutis clung to that vision, his heart filled with hope for what lay ahead. The road might be fraught with challenges, but armed with faith and the legacy of a saint, he knew he was capable of inspiring others, just as he had been inspired. He closed his eyes and prayed, preparing for the adventure that awaited him. The morning of their departure dawned bright and clear, with the sun rising like a promise over the rooftops of Milan. Carlo Acutis, buzzing with excitement, hurriedly packed the last few items into his backpack. His parents, sensing the weight of the moment, joined him for breakfast, eager to start their journey to Rimini. As they shared the meal, Carlo felt a mix of nervous anticipation swelling within him. This trip was not just a visit. This was a pilgrimage, a journey that intertwined with the soul of his faith. As they loaded into the car, Carlo's heart raced. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a trip to a historical site. It was a calling. In his mind, images of St. Francis flooded back, a man of conviction, standing on the very streets they were about to travel down. He imagined the crowd, the vibrant day when the miraculous was about to unfold. His thoughts danced around the idea of what could happen in a world so clouded by doubts and hidden truths. Their drive to Rimini was filled with discussions about the history of the city, and Carlo's parents shared stories of the saint with reverence. The landscape outside the window shifted as they approached the coast, and Carlo felt a sense of urgency building within him. He was eager to witness the place where Francis had challenged the very undercurrents of disbelief. Once they arrived, the air was alive with energy. The sounds of bustling streets and distant laughter met them as they stepped out of the car. Carlo inhaled deeply, the salty breeze brushing against him like a gentle reminder of the waves of history that had washed over this land. They made their way through the streets, the weight of the past palpable with every step. As they approached the town square, Carlo's heart began to thump in his chest. He could almost visualize the scene as it had been in the days of Francis, a sea of faces, expressions ranging from skepticism to curiosity. He yearned for that moment where faith met the miraculous. With his camera and notepad in hand, Carlo was eager to capture everything. The sights, the feelings, the essence of this place that had witnessed a powerful act of God. Finding a spot at the center of the square, Carlo began to document everything, the beautiful architecture, the church bells ringing in the distance, and hints of laughter that seemed to echo from centuries ago. Carlo reminded himself to stay focused. He was here to absorb the faith that had endured through time. He imagined what it must have been like for Francis to stand before the crowd, calling forth their attention, urging them to open their hearts and minds to the truth of the Eucharist. As he collected his thoughts, Carlo's mind drifted back to the transformative moment that was on the brink of unfolding. He knew that it was the moment of divine inspiration that set Francis's mission into motion, the precise moment when the saint felt that compelling urge to summon the creatures of God in acknowledgement of the Holy Eucharist. The story intrigued him deeply, and he wondered if he could even come close to capturing that same spirit of inspiration. What compelled Francis to speak to the animals as though they could understand him? He recalled the moment when St. Francis stood before the masses, feeling the weight of skepticism all around him, but his faith was unyielding. "O creatures of God, hear me," he must have called out, his voice steady, resonating through the layers of doubt like clear water. Carlo's heart raced at the thought. It was a testament to the power of faith, transcending barriers that society had built. Engulfed by the rich tapestry of faith woven through Rimini, Carlo began to envision how he could convey this spirit through his digital exhibit. He imagined the faces of kids and young adults standing in awe, experiencing the divine alongside the past. Could he interlace multimedia elements that pulled viewers into the moment, merging the ancient with the contemporary? As the sun began to dip in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the square, Carlo's parents had a look of weary contentment on their faces. They had been watching their son, witnessing the fervor that surged within him. Their hearts swelled with pride, knowing they had fostered a space for his faith to grow. "Mom, Dad," Carlo said, breaking their silence, "I want to create a part of the exhibit that evokes that moment, the call, the gathering of faith. I want to reenact it almost, to help people feel what Francis felt." His eyes sparkled with excitement as he shared his vision, the passion radiating off him in waves. His father nodded thoughtfully. "That sounds like a beautiful idea, Carlo. How do you plan to do it?" "I think a visual representation of St. Francis standing there in the square, calling to the animals, captures the essence of his mission. And it might be powerful to show videos of people responding to faith, those who, like him, began to see the miracle in their daily lives." "Isn't that going to be difficult?" his mother asked, a hint of worry in her voice. "You're talking about bringing centuries-old faith into the modern world." "But that's the point, Mom. The miracles aren't just historically significant, they're alive in us today. We can inspire those who doubt, just like St. Francis did. There is a spark waiting to be ignited," Carlo replied passionately, filled with exhilaration. As the evening deepened, Carlo felt the stirrings of divine inspiration ignite within him. It was evident. Francis's spirit nudged him toward an idea he could refine into reality. The donkey kneeling before the host, would not just be a historical event, it would mirror the profound connections that transcended time, allowing everyone to witness faith's capability to transform hearts. Carlo envisioned that this could lead others who were chasing the world's fleeting pleasures back toward the solid, unshakable truth of faith. He contemplated how resonant the message about the Eucharist could be in today's world, a challenge to their skepticism, an invitation to witness the miraculous amid the everyday mundane. With renewed determination, Carlo stood in the bustling square. Inhaling deeply, the essence of Rimini saturated his senses, filled with echoes of the past bleeding into the present moment. As he looked at the mingling crowds, he whispered a prayer, feeling anchored by the legacy of St. Francis. "Let this moment, this journey, inspire faith anew," Carlo murmured, his heart filled with hope. "May I have the courage to share your light with the world." The spark of divine inspiration crackled like electricity as he stood there, filled with purpose, ready to continue his adventure, an adventure that would weave together history, belief, and the transformative power of the Eucharist. As the soft glow of twilight enveloped Rimini, the town square thrummed with life, and Carlo Acutis felt a palpable energy coursing through the air. The performance he had scripted and envisioned for all to witness was about to begin, and anticipation hung thickly in the atmosphere like the scent of blooming jasmine. People of all ages were drawn to the gathering, their faces illuminated by the strings of lights adorning the square, a flickering reminder of the shimmering faith that had stood the test of time. Carlo stood at the center of it all, heart racing with a symphony of hope, fear, and fervent belief. He could see families, friends, and strangers turning their attention to him, curious about the narrative he was about to unfold. Was it merely a story, or could it echo their own struggles and ignite the light of faith in their hearts? "Good evening, everyone," Carlo called, his voice steady, cutting through the gentle hum of chatter that surrounded him. He allowed the people to settle into silence, curious eyes now focused on him. "Tonight, we are here to remember a moment in history that transcends time, a miracle that challenges skepticism and invites us all to recognize the divine in our lives." With each word, he felt the weight of history at his back. He began recounting the story of St. Francis, the man who came to Rimini in a time marked by doubt and disbelief. "In the year of our Lord 1227, St. Francis stood in this very square," he said, gesturing broadly to the space around him, almost as if calling forth the spirit of the saint. He faced a hostile crowd, filled with scorn and misguided beliefs. Yet, despite the mockery, he remained resolute, his faith unwavering. Carlo's passion surged as he painted a vivid scene of Francis confronting the fate that lay ahead. He described the faces of the townsfolk, twisted in doubt, the contemptuous laughter that echoed through the air, and the dauntless spirit of the saint, as he called upon the creatures of God to witness the truth of the Eucharist. He felt a fire building within him as he spoke, knowing that each word he delivered could reach into the hearts of those listening and awaken the flames of their own faith. "Imagine the moment," Carlo exclaimed. "Picture Francis, fervently urging the animals to bear witness to a profound truth. In that moment, everyone who looked upon the donkey kneeling before the consecrated host felt the climate of doubt shift ever so slightly. They stood on the brink of understanding, his voice rising with urgency and sincerity. A hushed stillness fell over the crowd as Carlo recounted the scene of a lowly donkey kneeling in reverence, a symbolic act that echoed profoundly through time. It was as if the very earth had ceased to breathe, only to behold a miracle unfold at their feet. The donkey recognized the presence of God, revealing the truth that transcends human understanding. As he spoke, actors dressed as townsfolk began to filter into the square, their expressions filled with expressions of confusion and curiosity. Fulfilling the vision, they encircled a dais where a group portrayed St. Francis and the donkey, bridging the ancient and the modern with vibrant authenticity. The energy from the crowd rippled like a wave, an electric connection blossoming between them. In that moment, Carlo couldn't help but feel woven into the fabric of history. He glanced towards the heavens, silently thanking St. Francis for guiding him, for instilling courage in his heart. He could see attentive faces, young children gazing up, wide-eyed, as adults absorbed the profound statement that was unfolding before them. He glanced over to his parents, their pride evident, reflecting back the love and encouragement he had felt throughout this journey. As actors portrayed Francis calling forth the animals, Carlo felt the collective breath of the crowd held within them. Lips whispered prayers, eyes glistened with belief as they conjured the spirit of the saint. The crowd began to murmur, responding to the energy surrounding them. Carlo's heart swelled with the realization of what faith could evoke. "Will you too heed the call?" he asked, filling the air with a challenging yet inviting tone. "Just as those who witnessed the miracle stepped away from doubt, will you open your hearts to receive faith in all its beauty?" His words hung, waiting, shimmering like stars that began to emerge in the evening sky. Just then, the moment of divine revelation arrived. The donkey approached the Eucharist, kneeling reverently as it had done centuries ago. The crowd gasped in unison, a wave of emotion surging through them as they witnessed the storied act that had transformed the lives of so many during Francis's time. Tears glistened in the eyes of some spectators, the palpable recognition of the sacredness of this act breaking through the barriers of doubt, much like it had done long ago. Carlo felt the atmosphere shift, a growing warmth wrapping around them as the magnitude of the moment settled in. In that split second, he knew the miracle had happened, not just in the reenactment, but in the hearts of those present, resonating with their longings for faith, truth, and connection. The applause roared like thunder, echoing against the walls of the square as the actors took their bows. Carlo stood still, his heart racing, stunned by the impact of what had just transpired. It became clear to him that he had succeeded not only in sharing the story, but in stirring hearts toward deeper belief. "Remember this moment," he urged, looking out at the sea of faces glowing with hope. "Let it be a call to action in your own lives, a journey back to your faith." St. Francis believed in the power of connection, of miracles waiting to bear witness to God's love. This truth lies within each of you. As darkness gave way to a cooler breeze, the crowd began to disperse, but the energy lingered. Carlo's pulse quickened with an unspeakable joy. He had witnessed a ripple effect, a spark ignited within the hearts of those who had come seeking truth. The doubt that had been planted in the corners of his mind began to dissipate, replaced by a conviction that poured through him like a rushing river. This was just the beginning. His pilgrimage had transformed him, linking his life with the great tapestry of faith that connected generations long past in an unbroken chain of belief. Walking back toward his parents, Carlo felt a shared sense of joy mingling with the promise of new beginnings. With each step toward home, he looked forward to a future where he could continue to shine the light of faith, guiding others toward the miracles that unfold when hearts decide to believe. There was much work ahead, paths yet to tread, but every journey starts with a single step, and tonight he had taken many. Full of hope, he embraced his parents, filled with gratitude for their unwavering support. The spirit of St. Francis was alive in him, and in that moment, Carlo Acutis knew that he was ready to embrace the world with an open heart, inviting everyone to embark on their own journey of faith. As the weeks rolled into months after the event in the square, Carlo Acutis's life transformed into a beautiful tapestry woven with the threads of faith, connection, and community. The gatherings he initiated blossomed into regular dialogues, drawing individuals from all walks of life to share their stories and seek understanding. Each meeting felt electric, alive with vibrant conversation and the fragrant promise of new beginnings. Carlo stood at the forefront of this movement, inviting both believers and skeptics to join in the exploratory dialogue that had begun to reshape their small corner of Rimini. The discussions shifted from mere conversation to heartfelt exchanges, as participants began venturing beyond their comfort zones, daring to share their experiences, hopes, and fears. One chilly evening, as the golden hues of sunset bled into the horizon, Carlo welcomed a new guest to the gathering, a young man named Marco, who had known only doubt and anger toward faith. He claimed to have walked away from any religious affiliation long ago, skepticism having overwhelmed him. Yet curiosity had brought him through the door that night, and Carlo could sense a glimmer of hope flickering behind his hardened exterior. "Thank you for being here, Marco," Carlo greeted warmly, noticing the hesitation in the newcomer's eyes. "I understand you may have questions or concerns about faith. This space is open for all thoughts and feelings. What's been on your mind?" Marco shifted nervously, contemplating his words. "I've seen people use faith as a weapon. It drove me away. What's so miraculous about a belief that divides?" Carlo felt the weight of the question and took a moment, allowing the silence to settle in the room. "You're right. There are many who have misused faith to create divisions, but faith, in its essence, is meant to unite us, to create bridges and inspire love. Just like the miracle of the donkey that knelt before the Eucharist, it's a call to recognize something greater than ourselves." The group listened intently, and Carlo continued. "Sometimes the miracles we look for in the grandiose can be found in the small acts of kindness, like the warmth of a family meal or a stranger offering a helping hand. Those moments reveal the divine in the ordinary, offering us a glimpse of God's love in our everyday lives." As he spoke, Carlo witnessed Marco's expression shift from skepticism to contemplation. The dialogue deepened, allowing others to share their experiences, how faith had transformed their struggles and led them toward positive changes, igniting relationships and inspiring acts of compassion. As the evening progressed, Marco began to open up, sharing snippets of his own experience, the loss he felt, the anger that clouded his perception. With each word, he shed layers of hesitation, allowing the warmth of the conversation to envelop him. He leaned in closer, visibly eager to connect. Carlo felt a stirring among the group, a collective sense of possibility as Marco's story resonated. It reminded them all of the complexities of humanity, the struggles intertwined with their personal journeys of faith. In this shared vulnerability, they discovered the heart of their gatherings, a commitment to walk alongside one another, wrestling with their questions together. Eventually, the night came to a close, but not before Carlo extended an invitation to Marco. "I hope you'll join us again and continue sharing your thoughts. We all have a journey, and it's important to have a community that embraces each other through it." In the days that followed, Marco began attending the gatherings regularly. Slowly, he transformed from a hesitant participant to an engaged believer as he found solace in the dialogues, healing the wounds of betrayal fostered by his past experiences. Each meeting sparked new questions and deeper connections, uniting them in a shared pursuit of understanding. Carlo began to see Marco as a beacon of hope for others, still wrestling with their faith. The changes in him inspired countless conversations where previous doubts were replaced with curiosity and understanding. It was a privileged sight, watching someone navigate their journey, shedding anger and embracing growth. One day, as Carlo and his friends sat together in the town square, Marco approached them, with an unexpected twinkle in his eye. "I want to do more," he declared. "Faith can't just be talk, it has to be action. Let's organize a community service event, a way to show love in action." His words hung in the air, and Carlo shared a wide smile with his friends. "Yes, that's the essence of faith, isn't it? To bring about tangible goodness in the world." With purposeful conviction, they began planning a day dedicated to serving those in need around Rimini, offering food, clothing, and companionship to those less fortunate. As the weeks unfolded in preparation, excitement bubbled through the community, demonstrating that their faith did indeed meet action. On the day of the service event, Carlo felt a swell of pride watching the turnout. Families, students, and elders came together under the banner of love. The spirit of St. Francis radiated through the crowd, a testament to how faith can trigger a collective response to hunger, loneliness, and despair. As they shared their time, laughter, and resources with those in need, Carlo was profoundly moved. He discovered a renewed sense of purpose as he embodied the message he had been sharing all along. Faith lives in our actions. These moments of connection would ripple through the community, infusing life with faith. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon again, Carlo stood alongside his friends, weary but filled with joy. They had witnessed miracles unfold, individuals transformed by love, connections formed, and the heart of the community ignited with a spirit of service. With Marco beside him, Carlo knew they had become part of a larger journey toward rekindling faith within themselves and their community. They were gathering momentum, and the call to action had awakened a powerful movement. That night, as Carlo reflected on their progress, he felt certain that this was just the beginning. Faith, he realized, wasn't confined to beliefs or doctrines. It was an invitation for everyone to experience love, connection, and the miracles waiting to unfold in their daily lives. With hope burning bright in their hearts, they were ready to continue the journey, eager to invite anyone willing to join them along the way. As spring transitioned into summer, the movement Carlo Acutis had initiated continued to bloom throughout Rimini, drawing in more participants eager to explore the depths of faith through action. The community had transformed into a vibrant hub of activity, where the spirit of service and compassion flourished, and Carlo was at the heart of it all, navigating this journey with newfound determination. The group began forming committees to tackle various projects, each focused on different aspects of community support: shelter for the homeless, meals for the elderly, educational assistance for children in need. Each initiative stirred excitement and involvement from the townspeople, and Carlo found himself balancing roles as both a leader and a friend, offering guidance while encouraging others to take initiative. One sunny afternoon, while meeting with Marco and other friends at a local cafe, Carlo shared an inspiring idea. What if we organized a community festival? A celebration that showcases our journey and brings everyone together, both those we serve and those who wish to contribute? Marco's eyes lit up. That sounds amazing. We could highlight local talent, have food stalls from different cultures, and invite everyone to join in on the fun. It would be a way to celebrate the beauty of our diverse community and the connections we've formed. They mapped out plans, enlisting the help of local organizations, schools, and businesses. Excitement reverberated throughout Rimini as people rallied around the festival idea, each eager to participate. The preparations turned into a whirlwind of creativity, with decorations, performances, and culinary offerings being organized, and Carlo reveled in the community spirit that filled the air. On the day of the festival, the square buzzed with vibrant energy. Families strolled together, children laughed and played, and the aroma of delicious food wafted through the air. Bands played lively tunes, inviting people to dance, while booths lined the paths where local artists showcased their work. Carlo felt a sense of joy swell within him as he moved through the crowd, witnessing the connections blossoming around him. At one corner of the square, guests gathered to hear personal stories of transformation. Volunteers who had participated in previous service events took the stage, sharing their experiences and how they had been touched by the act of giving. Each story illuminated the beauty of unity, resonating with laughter and sometimes prompting tears of recognition. As the afternoon wore on, Carlo stepped forward to address the crowd, his heart racing with exhilaration. Today, we celebrate not just our progress, but the connections we've forged through love and faith. Each of you embodies the spirit of this community, reminding us that we are stronger when we come together to uplift those around us. Cheers erupted, and Carlo felt empowered by the energy around him. He spoke passionately. Saint Francis once said, "Preach the gospel at all times. When necessary, use words. Through our actions, we embody our faith, transforming lives and creating miracles within our community." With that, he invited everyone to join in a moment of reflection. Let us take a moment to embrace the power of love that has brought us here, that resonates in our hearts and drives us to act. As a collective hush fell over the crowd, an atmosphere of intention blossomed. The people reflected quietly, many bowing their heads to give thanks. In that serene moment, Carlo could feel a deep sense of unity, a bond formed through shared experience and love that transcended mere words. Afterward, the festival continued with a spirited communal dance, music flowing through the air, uniting bodies and hearts. Carlo let himself be swept away in the joy of the moment, feeling the weight of all the struggles and victories that led them here. As night descended and the stars began to twinkle in the sky, Carlo stood with Marco, gazing out at the gathering that had filled the square. Families were gathered, children laughing, and elders enjoying the festivities. It was a powerful reminder of how far they had come and the impact they had made. "Look at what we've created," Marco said, a mixture of disbelief and joy in his voice. "This is everything we hoped for and more. We've reignited faith in our community. Imagine what we can do next," Carlo replied, his eyes shining with possibility. "This journey has just begun. Each act of kindness creates ripples that can reach beyond Rimini, affecting lives we may never even know." With renewed determination, the two friends made a pact to keep the momentum alive, planning future events and initiatives that would touch the hearts of many. They understood that faith is a journey, one that unfolds continuously through love and action. In that moment, surrounded by laughter and joy, Carlo felt an unwavering conviction that they would continue to create spaces of belonging and compassion. They would invite others to join them, opening doors to new connections and opportunities to witness the miracles waiting to be revealed in their lives. With the spirit of St. Francis guiding them, Carlo Acutis and his friends were ready to navigate the future, an adventure filled with hope, love, and the transformative power of faith. They had embraced their calling, and the world ahead shimmered with the bright promise of endless possibilities, a truly deserved lesson. If you agree, please like this video and subscribe for more stories, and tell us what you thought in the comments.